everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from a little too warm Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, it's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we're going to be talking about...
We're going to be filling your quiver, baby. We're going to be talking about...
Your empty quivers.
We're going to be talking about all the babies.
Your quiver... Is your quiver empty?
Get somebody in that goddamn quiver, will you?
And have some babies.
Have some chillins.
Oh, God, yeah.
Talk about religion and people having many, many babies.
Too many babies.
Probably too many babies.
Too many babies.
Too many humans.
And then, chaining them to beds.
Well, there's that. I mean, don't do that even if
that's the exception, not the norm.
You should only do that if you have 1 to 2 babies. If you have 1 to 2 children, chain them to beds and torture them. But when you've got 13...
Yeah, okay. We'll get to this later because that's a strange idea.
Do you feel I've made a controversial statement?
That's a controversial statement. We're going to let that hang
in the air
and see where we take it.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's exciting. Exciting second half of the show.
I just had a quiverfull. No, I don't know.
You're full of quiver?
Yeah, I quivered a lot. I quavered and shivered.
All right, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
That was quite a sigh.
Do you like to eat, Dan? Do you like food?
I do it daily. It's just part of my regimen.
How do you feel about fasting?
Like fast food?
Like abstaining from food.
I have no reason to do it usually.
Right. It's an interesting practice. Supposedly there's like some health benefits.
They say.
There apparently are also benefits for one's ability to alter reality through fasting.
Ooh.
Right. Like religious folk, especially I guess Christians, which is what we're talking about specifically here, will sometimes abstain from food in order to convince God that they're really serious about an issue.
I feel like what it is that like the way that we transmit to God when we talk, if there's a lot of food in your belly, it gets muddled a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you want a clear signal, you got to get that food out of there.
Get the food out. You got to get the food out.
So that then when you're hungry, I also think that the grumbling of a tummy amplifies the signal also.
Well, and low blood sugar helps me think better.
Right. Definitely get you thinking smart.
Yeah. And so there's a group of evangelicals called the Intercessors for America.
Oh.
And headed by one James Dobson.
Okay.
Does that name...
That sounds familiar.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
That might be because he essentially called for transgender people to be shot.
Oh, okay.
A couple years ago, right? A few years ago.
He's a peach, that one.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't say it exactly like that, but that was the gist of it.
Right.
Well, he's calling on religious folk throughout the country to save Donald Trump.
Oh.
This country, he says, will be in serious trouble if they're, meaning the left, successful in impeaching this man. I'm calling for a nationwide movement to pray for him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm calling for a day of fasting and prayer.
Oh.
I hope that Christian people from coast to coast will join in that time. The date is your choosing, but we do need your help.
You should probably do it in the next, I'm going to say, month and a half.
Yeah.
Just a day. I feel like if they really wanted this to happen, they should fast for like 5 days.
Yeah.
Really show some commitment.
I think they should. Yeah. I think they should just go on like a starvation, protest level type thing.
Yeah.
Right? Where they just completely refrain from food, even water.
Yeah.
Maybe even like really
show your commitment to this thing.
God needs to hear you.
And it will make a difference. Because if there's one thing we know, it's that intercessionary prayer makes sense.
Oh, so much sense. He also added that it seemed evident on election night that the Lord gave us victory. So, Lord, if that is true, we ask you to protect our president from anything that could hurt him.
It would be a little confusing if the Lord gave you a president and then they were able to just impeach him.
Yeah. That would confuse you, wouldn't it?
I would feel confounded by that.
I think they should be calling on Donald Trump to do some fasting, though.
Well,
that's more
I don't
for,
know.
for
That's
dietary.
No.
You know,
his doctor said right out he's in great shape.
amazing shape.
He's in amazing shape. That 70-something-year-old fat
Fast food eating
fucker.
KFC and McDonald's chowing down.
You know, he's 6'3" and 200.
He's that tall?
Yeah.
He's that tall.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there have been memes going around comparing him. So he's 6'3" and like 239 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
And people have been, or that's what was reported.
Right.
So people have been showing pictures of him with that giant gut of his, you know, golfing or whatever.
Sure.
Compared to like football players who are the same,
right,
like height and weight.
Yeah.
I think maybe something's wrong with his stats.
Well,
because those guys,
muscle is a lot heavier.
Right. So.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Huh.
He should either weigh. Yeah. Anyway, it's not right. His doctor is a liar, is what we're all what we're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll fast and pray for him.
Yeah. No.
He likes to fast food and pray.
Well, fast food, not pray.
And not pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's more what he does.
He doesn't know how to pray. I think he thinks tweeting is praying. I think he thinks it's along the same lines.
Connection to God.
Yeah. Well, Franklin, I have new report from West Virginia.
I love West Virginia.
I think we can all agree that only good things happen in West Virginia.
Harper's Ferry, for example.
Mountain Mama.
Isn't Harper's Ferry in West Virginia?
I have no idea.
There was some massacre at Harper's Ferry.
Oh, that's sad when that happens.
I was throwing that out as a bad thing.
Okay. Well, here's what is happening in West Virginia. Sort of following on the heels of. Do you remember we reported in that Kentucky a while back? Kentucky voted to allow schools to teach the Bible as a historical document,
which it is.
Ish.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
It's been around for a while.
Right. Unfortunately, that has sort of. There may be a lawsuit in progress because that has degraded into just Christian class. Shocking that would have happened.
Why would they do that?
It's weird. You'd think that they would just hold very firmly to the notion that this is just a document that's important to history and that they should discuss it in a secular manner.
Well, have a lesson on the Epic of Gilgamesh,
right? Yeah,
and then read some of the Bible and read the flood account of the Bible.
Get the Bhagavad Gita in there. You know, talk about things in context. Well, before that happens, West Virginia State Senator Mike Azinger is now sponsoring Senate Bill 252, which would not only allow for such a class, but require every public, private, parochial, or denominational, couldn't say the word, school in the state to offer an elective course in Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, and the New Testament.
Oh, it'd still be an elective course, but all the schools would have to have it.
Right.
Even the private schools?
Yes.
That might be, I don't know, not Christian?
Oh, yes. Even if it were, I'm sure that these are very popular in West Virginia, but even if it were a, let's say, Islamic school.
A madrasa?
A madrasa?
Madrasa.
Yeah, something like that. That's what he wants. He wants every single school in the state to be forced to have
I think that's
this
a
class.
great idea.
High school.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think they should absolutely do it. Clearly, this will just enrich the people of West Virginia.
And how?
And create a stronger society based on real values.
Yes, indeed. Yes. The good values, not those crappy values that don't involve the Bible.
only good things.
There's only
all the good things are found in the Bible. All the bad things are found outside the Bible.
Right. It's so funny to me because what I want to know is what would happen. Let's say that this law goes into effect. What happens if a teacher is teaching this and does assign the Quran as a sort of counterplay? Let's study them in tandem and see what we can learn. That seems like a totally reasonable academic study.
I think that the response would be worse than that poor art teacher up in
I think
Logan.
lynching.
Yeah.
I think the man would be, or woman, would be murdered in West Virginia.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
But
now, did you say that the law passed or this is proposed?
it's been it is on the floor.
On the floor. Well, we'll have to see what happens with that.
And they just need to leave it on the floor and stomp it.
All right. Well, Dan, there's a new study out that is quite interesting. It has to do with America's response to Donald Trump's xenophobic attempts to do his little Muslim ban.
Keep
the Muslims out,
terrorists,
right? And so what?
From
It's
those
like
shithole countries.
6 or 7. No, he was talking about different countries.
Different countries.
These are other countries he doesn't like, right?
Right.
There's like 6 or 7 majority. It's 6 majority Muslim countries that are on this list, right, of places that the Trump administration would like us to not accept anyone in from.
Right.
They are banned.
They are,
and it's largely seen as a quote unquote Muslim ban.
Right. Because that's what he's doing.
Because that is
he has explicitly used phrases like that.
And he is trying to basically codify his own xenophobia, right?
Right.
And so there was a lot of fear that this would unleash xenophobia in the United States.
Yeah.
And it was not 2017 was not a good year for Muslims in America.
No.
There were actually it was one of the worst years for anti-Islamic violence and hate speech. It exceeded the years that came right after the September 11th attack.
Really?
Right? Yeah. It was a bad year.
Holy shit.
Right?
Worse than wow.
But
wow.
This study that just came out has actually shown that the national discourse about the Muslim ban has actually caused a lot of people to actually consider their position and to realize that no, that's a bad thing, and American values are about inclusion and accepting people from foreign countries. It's about openness, and it's actually caused a spike in acceptance of Muslims and acceptance of Islam as sort of something that can exist in our system.
Well, right? Okay, so that makes some sense to me because you see enough hatred towards someone, like if you just see sort of casual, I really think Muslims are, if you see somebody making the argument that 9/11 was Muslims and Muslims hate Americans, blah, 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 that's one thing.
Right.
But when you see people actively hurting other humans, it becomes a little more real, and you start to go, well, maybe we don't do that. And then they start to think a little bit more in that.
Right, exactly. And when it became a little bit more concrete and about individuals and human stories were able to be told because of this attempt at the Muslim ban and the moments when it was in effect and then it wasn't in effect.
Right.
And then it came into effect again and then a court said, no, you can't do it. And all of this helped galvanize, I think, people on the left and moderates in America who just go, no, that's not who we are.
Right.
That's never been who we are.
Right.
We like being a place where people come and start new lives.
We used to believe in that whole "give us your poor, you're tired." Your huddled masses yearning to be free.
Yeah, and I mean, in light of other comments that have come, the shithole countries comments,
Right.
where he's like, why are we not getting people from Norway? Right, a nation with one of the highest GDPs in the world,
right,
if not the highest,
right?
And like, with a happy, healthy population, right?
Like that would never want to come here.
Like, okay, we'll get. I think the number was 56 people from Norway. No, 560 people immigrated from Norway last year.
Okay.
That's a tiny number.
Yeah.
Right? That's people who worked for a company that wanted them to work at some other office.
That's not people who wanted to come to the US. That's people who like
got transferred.
Okay. I guess I'll go to the US. I mean, I already speak English. I guess it's okay.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it was for, but it was more like it was a job opportunity in their career or in their field.
Right. Yeah.
It was a good career decision.
That was definitely nobody sitting in Norway going, this sucks. I need to go to the U.S. It'd be way better over there. Maybe there was like 2 people who were like, it's a little cold.
Right.
I think I don't like the dark all winter long. Maybe I'll go somewhere nicer.
Yeah.
I've heard Florida is good.
Wasn't people living in little Oslo opening Norwegian restaurants.
Right. Oh man. Well, there you go. Yeah, I think that the pendulum may be swinging.
I don't know. I'm not watching the pendulum yet.
One hesitates to make any predictions for the future. Okay. Well, here in Utah, there was a fairly horrific story. 2 men in their 30s-ish, at least one of them was in their 30s. I don't know how old the other one was. Were recently arrested. They were living in a compound out in rural Utah and had each married 2 girls. And when I say girls, I'm not talking about women. Ages 4 through 8.
No.
They had claimed that they were married to these girls and had been abusing them. They had formed a group that they were calling the Knights of the Crystal Blade because that's the kind of thing that you come up with when you're that kind of a person. And they had basically decided that they were, I guess, their own religious sort of offshoot.
Of what?
Well, I'm guessing it's Mormon related because it's, this polygamist sort of ideal.
I mean, did they go straight off of the Mormon church or did they fragment off of the FLDS?
I don't really have that information.
Wow.
But these guys, these little girls were finally found.
Where did the girls come from? Whose children were they?
They were kidnapped.
Oh God.
So these they had taken, at least one of the girls was related to somebody. So these girls were found in 50-gallon plastic water barrels when they were finally discovered, completely dehydrated and starving. They had arrested the men, and they couldn't find the girls because the men had hidden them cleverly in barrels. It's a horrifying thing. And
when did this happen? I'm surprised I didn't hear about this. When did this news break?
Just a few days ago. Yeah.
I feel like I pay more attention to that. That's really, 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 really awful. Now.
Oh, but the police found the girls about a month ago, actually.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And then the men were brought to justice.
Yeah. So. Yeah, this is a horrifying thing, and one of those things where they were apparently actively recruiting and wanted to build their group up.
Huh.
This is how bad cults start.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, yeah. It's not a lot of cults are going to go very far.
No.
with that as their beginning. I mean, I hate to say it, but you have to ease into that.
you have to work up to that. You've got to build to that, gentlemen. You don't start with the child brides in the barrels.
Did you learn nothing from Joseph Smith? you don't start there.
You start. Well, I mean, and they had other things going for them. They had this sort of apocalypse narrative that they were doing. So I mean,
Not
at least
surprising. Sounds about par for the course.
At least they had that.
Any word from Elizabeth Smart? She works on this stuff.
Yeah,
now.
I did not see her chime in on this.
Yeah, anyway, because this obviously for very obvious reasons
would be meaningful unto her.
Cares about this issue.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Unionization. Unions.
The unions. Sure. What about them?
Well, an unlikely group in my mind is starting to join en masse. No pun intended. Anglican clergy.
They're forming a union?
Well, they're joining a union.
Ooh, they're Teamsters now. One
of the largest in the UK, called Unite.
Okay.
And they've had 1,500 priests plus a few rabbis and imams joined the union last year.
What?
That's an increase of 16%. Now technically they can't really go for the whole collective bargaining thing.
No,
right? That's not what they're trying to do.
Okay,
because
you can't fight the man when the man is either your congregation or the man upstairs.
That'd be an interesting route to take.
Yeah.
Unionize against God.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to
collectively bargain with Jesus.
We don't like these rules. These rules suck.
We want 12 new commandments.
Yeah. That we write.
We at least want to negotiate.
Then we'll follow you.
Yeah, we want some new commandments. That's for sure.
We won't really follow, but we'll just we'll get the shit done. Don't worry about it.
We'll follow for 5 years and see how it goes.
And then we'll renegotiate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no. So apparently the life of the clergy,
of a vicar
is kind of a rough life.
What?
It's isolated.
Yeah. But they can
lonely. Yeah, but they tend not to have a lot of day-to-day contact with colleagues.
Oh, okay.
Right? People who have the same workplace.
Yeah, because you're like
struggles that they have.
You're like the parish vicar of like the town. So there's one of you.
There's one of you who doesn't just have one town often.
Yeah.
Usually they're these more rural vicars will have like up to 6 parishes that they oversee.
More than just Dibley, huh?
More than just Dibley.
Okay.
I know. Such an idyllic world that they painted there.
Yeah.
That's not apparently what's been actually going on.
Oh.
They are under pressure apparently from all sides, not including their congregants and their bishops who have been who are no longer really in sort of the same sort of pastoral role anymore. They're more just sort of middle managers.
Yeah, they're supervisors.
And so these vicars really aren't able to go to their bishops for the same kind of support anymore.
Oh.
And so they've turned to the union to receive counseling and support because they can't get it anymore.
And the church
from
is
within the church
failing them.
The church is completely
failing them. Oh my God. That's amazing. That is remarkable.
Yeah.
And they don't even like start their own group. They're just like, does anybody help us?
Who has counselors that we can talk to?
Well, what's amazing is that, they are expected to be the counselors for hundreds of people. They're not trained in counseling, most of them. You know what I mean?
A bit, but maybe, not like your psychologist or anything.
No,
like that,
and those who are trained in counseling are encouraged to have counselors.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Therapists are encouraged to have therapists, etc. So, God bless them.
Yeah.
The poor vicars. Oh, can't someone think about the vicars?
Oh,
Please.
I know.
And the rabbis, the odd rabbi.
And the imams.
And the imams.
The imams are joining up too. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it's very funny. Okay, well, I'm going to take us finally to Canada, where, half of my family's Canadian. And, every now and then I report a story that just makes my heart swell with maple leaf pride.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Canada has a mandate that is that they have a charter of rights and freedoms that is a governmental charter.
Okay.
Of rights of individuals and freedoms, and that charter is explicit that human beings, Canadians, have rights to be free from discrimination on the basis of sex, religion, race, national or ethnic origin, color, mental or physical ability, and sexual orientation or gender identity, as well as women have reproductive rights. These are all in the official Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Okay.
Well, because that charter has withstood, there have been some legal challenges to it, but it's withstood them all. Now they've started to apply it to things. Now Canada has a program called the Canada Summer Jobs Program, the CSJ, and this is basically sort of it's a subsidy for companies or groups that offer summer jobs for students.
Yeah.
You can the government will help you out with that.
Cool.
And one of the groups that takes that takes them up on this often is religious groups. For Bible summer camps or whatever, they'll hire kids to come out and work in the camps.
Okay.
And that's fine. That they're jobs, they're legitimate jobs, so it seems okay.
Right.
Here's what's funny about it though. Canada has just required that anyone who's going to who's going to be a part of that program must abide by and affirm the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Oh.
Which means that they have to affirm women's reproductive rights, abortion rights, gay rights, lesbian rights. They have to affirm all of those things in order to participate in this program.
No way.
So, I love it. I love it. Because it's not saying, no, we're not going to discriminate against you just because you're a religious organization.
Right.
You can participate, but this is Canadian money.
Right.
This is the money of everybody. And if you're going to get it, you got to play by Canadian rules.
Wow. Okay.
I love it.
Wow, yeah. Good for them.
So I am I feel proud as a beaver.
So there's like an oath you have to do every morning?
Yes, yeah, exactly. You have to stand up and put your hand over your heart and say, I solemnly promise that I like gay people.
Put your hand in the form of a maple leaf.
That's right.
Just
spread all of your fingers.
All your fingers. That's the Canadian hand gesture.
The Canadian hand gesture. You guys should use this, you Canadians. I know you're listening. I actually really like that. If you just spread all of your fingers until it looks as much like a maple leaf as you can, and then you hold it up and you say, I am a Canadian. I'm a Canadian,
and I do not discriminate,
and people have rights.
That's the most beautiful pledge.
Right.
I'm a Canadian. I do not discriminate, and people have rights.
In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Anyway, as you can imagine, that has ruffled some feathers.
Oh boy.
There are
mostly Albertan feathers.
There may be a lot of Albertans that are ruffled on this. Yeah, there is there's like the executive director of the Southern Alberta Bible Camp
Oh, no.
is quoted here as saying, "We don't believe that abortion is right, and we're being told that in order to be able to access these grants, we need to affirm that." He's grumpy.
Yeah.
It's very sad for him. Oh,
His fingers are touching.
yeah. He doesn't
Your Canadian hand.
he doesn't
there,
make
sir.
a good. It doesn't make a good maple leaf with his hand. No, actually, we can't require that. I just realized because someone who is differently hand-abled would not be able to make that gesture, and we can't discriminate against them.
Oh, well.
So you do it.
Screwed over that idea.
Do it as
It's a beautiful idea.
make the
Dan.
gesture as you
maybe
feel
the
as your
Canadian-
conscience dictates and your body is able.
But the medical system in Canada could acquire
fix
a
it.
prosthesis. It's free.
They will spend countless thousands until your hand can
Can be the most Canadian hand it can be.
can make a sort of maple leafy sort of thing. Well, kids, if you want to suggest a hand gesture for your country, you can do so by writing into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Request to join. It's a closed group, but we'll let you in.
Indeed.
Dan,
Yes, sir.
we got something to listen to.
Yeah.
Matt Staver. Do you know that name?
I want not to know it.
Yeah. He's an anti-LGBTQ rights activist.
Great.
Right.
Good for him.
He works at the Liberty Council, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Right.
We know the Liberty Council.
Anyway, he was on a show called Crosstalk. The kind of show that would have him. So you can just imagine.
Right. Cross in this case being a literal cross. Those morons.
Well, and probably angry.
And yes. Absolutely.
There gets some crosstalk.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah, here we go. Let's just
play it.
Have a listen.
Yeah.
Another first for the nation that appears on the horizon, Matt. We have Connecticut Governor Dannel Malloy nominating State Supreme Court Justice Andrew McDonald to become Chief Justice, which would make McDonald the first openly gay state Chief Justice in the country.
Yeah, and where we are with something like that. I mean, here's the problem with it. Beyond the issue of the morality of this, beyond the issue of other consequences, is the fact that what we typically see is someone's identity, their being, completely wrapped up in their sexual practices. Meaning that, do you think if you had an Aaron and Melissa Klein or Jack Phillips Baker or anything else like that, where you have the LGBT clash with religious freedom or freedom of expression, come before this judge, do you think this judge is going to be open and fair, irrespective of what he does, to rule based on the Constitution and the rule of law? I don't think so. And that's why you have this, that's why, beyond everything else, this is a real problem. Because what we're doing is we're putting somebody on a bench who is siding with their personal identity. For example, I mean, you had Kozinski out in the Ninth Circuit. Different situation, but you have Kozinski. He actually at one time was the chief judge of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. He had to resign late last year over allegations that he was showing pornography to some of his law clerks, to female law clerks. He was bringing them into his office and showing them pornography. Back in 2002, there was pornography found on his computer at work. So imagine a case coming before him, and he's so wrapped up into this pornography, and it's about pornography, or it's about sexual molestation of someone. Do you think you're going to get a fair shake out of that guy when he's so invested and wrapped up in it? I don't think so. The question is, are you going to get a fair shake out of this individual whose identity, who identifies as someone based upon his sexual practices, who is identified and identifies himself based upon certain behavior? You're going to get a fair shake? No, I don't think so. So that's a real problem in this nomination or this appointment of this individual.
Yeah.
Frank,
they're getting a fair shake from somebody because of who they are.
can I ask you a question as a gay man? Why do you only really associate your identity with your sexual practices? Why is that the only thing about you that's important?
Because it's the only thing about me.
Right. That's the only interesting point that you have.
The only thing that I ever talk about.
Yeah.
That I care about.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing else to me at all.
Yeah.
Right? And clearly in this guy's mind, that's all he finds out somebody's gay, that's all he can fixate on.
Right.
Because that's how he understands and is so freaked out by homosexuality. Right.
It makes one wonder, like, I mean, so this person that they're talking about has already been serving on the state Supreme Court.
Right.
So like I'll bet this guy believes in his heart that under the black robe he's wearing like frilly pink underwear.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Only.
Right. Well, justices are allowed to pick their own robe, right? Isn't that sort of a thing?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of a thing.
Oh, sure.
You so he should just go all.
He should go, oh my
rainbow.
God. If he's the Chief Justice, it's all lame top to toe.
It's black lame.
Right.
So, because he is a judge.
But with there's like different stripes of different colors of black. There's like a brown black and a white and some sort of a bluer black. You know, there's different blacks.
Well, men tend not to do lace, but of course he's going to have some lovely lace.
Oh yeah, he's going to go Bader Ginsburg all over that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be really good.
It's a sober and very important role that he's playing. So he won't. I mean, it's not like he's going to go glitter.
Right.
He's going to be very toned down.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe a sensible sort of pink lipstick.
Right. Yeah. No. Lovely. No, this guy clearly understands sexuality in the same way that he understands his own Christianity.
Right.
Which is it's the only defining thing about him.
Right. I've never met a gay man or woman who associates their sexual practices with their own identity the way this guy associates his religion with his own identity.
Exactly. That is who this guy is.
That is through and through the only thing that's important to him.
His home life is defined by Christianity.
Right.
He happens to work for a place that's all Christian and everything. So his work is all Christian-y. He goes to church on Sunday. Like, Christianity is his only thing. And so, like, if he sees gay people as like, well, they're not Christian because they're gay, then these almost become like binaries for him, right? And so surely
one is the analog of the other.
Right. And so this gay thing, his life and his experience must be that. And it's like, no, not even close.
Right.
Like,
first of all, you don't choose gay, but
that's a great place to start.
You choose Christian.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I don't know. I don't know that I think about the fact that I'm gay.
No, it's not part of it. Here's the thing. It's not
on a daily basis.
It's not your identity, but the problem is that, like, when these assholes are out there trying to take down gay people, guess what? That's the part of your identity that you're going to be like, well, fuck, that's what's under attack.
Right.
I got to own that shit. I got to get out there. Like, that's...
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm willing to mobilize on it.
Yeah.
But...
Which is why that's all this guy sees. Because the only interactions he'll ever see with gay people is, I'm attacking you.
Right.
Oh, well, look. Oh, it's so important to you that you're coming back at me?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the only way you identify.
Yeah. I mean, most days, I'm not worried about, being gay
No.
I mean, I just, I just do my life. I go to brunch. I, clean and decorate my house. I go to the gym and
it's central to your identity in the same way that having 2 legs is central to your identity.
I was making a different joke.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I was stepping on. I didn't. I caught right as I was interrupting where you were going. It's sad. It's a very sad moment for Frank. Everybody, I'm sorry.
When I'm drinking mimosas, I'm
right.
I'm not thinking about being gay.
You're not thinking about being gay as you brunch and dance with go-go boys.
Yeah, I'm not thinking at all about being gay.
Nope.
It's not the defining feature of my life.
No, not at all. We had some folks write into us and call into us. Maybe we should get to them. This is from Hunter. Hey, Frank and Dan, Hunter here.
Hi, Hunter.
Love the show, but just wanted to say that my extremely religious Nani is getting on my nerves. She's an old Sicilian woman and has her share of superstitions, one of which being directed toward tattoos.
Uh-oh.
I recently got one and showed her 3 days ago. She was not happy and started screaming at me in Sicilian. Overall, it went pretty well, except when I got a call today saying that these winter storms are being caused by me. Her reasoning being that I sullied my skin and needed to be punished. Said that the winter storm Hunter being named after me was a sign. That being said, I
oh, poor Hunter.
Right?
Because that's really hard to deny.
That's really funny. I think it's amazing. And now I blame Hunter for those winter storms.
And the fact that it's dry here? Yeah.
Yeah. Damn it, Hunter.
You're ruining everything. You and your tattoos.
Our snow
Hunter.
away from where we needed it here in Utah, and you put it wherever you are. All that being said, I've got a question for Frank, says Hunter.
Oh, boy.
Did you ever encounter any odd superstitions in Italy?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there was concern about cold air if you're sweaty. You get copodaria, and you're going to die.
You're going to die.
You're going to die.
You have to wear a scarf, right?
Uh-huh. You don't want to drink like cold water. Like ice water was bad because it like, especially like on a hot day, because your body's hot, and then you drink the water and you get like your stomach constricts.
Oh dear!
And all the blood goes to your stomach, and then you die.
And then you die.
Do they all lead to death? Yeah, they all lead to some sort of death.
Isn't it bad for your liver? Didn't they say something about it being bad?
Oh,
for your
everything's
liver?
bad for your liver
Except alcohol.
No,
Wine's
you
good
don't
for
want to mix red and white wine because that's bad for your famiglia fegato.
Okay.
And people always were complaining about their liver hurting, which I was just like, I don't know if I know where my liver is. I've never felt my liver. I mean, I know where my liver is. You can kind of feel it, you kind of push right there.
Sure.
But like, I've never felt pain in my liver. But as far as like superstitions, like, one thing I thought was funny was, apartment buildings, all the apartment numbers, apartment 1, apartment 2, apartment 3, and it's usually how it is. The whole building, they don't do like the convention like we do in the US where like all the floors on the second, or all the units on the second floor will be like 201, 202, 203, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's usually just that building, and then they start at the bottom and number up, right? Or something like that. So you'll be going through the building, there'll be unit 15, unit 16, unit 16A, Unit 18. Because they're superstitious about the number 17.
Really?
And so saw that. A lot of buildings, like the tall buildings in this one area that I lived in, they all capped at 16 floors. And I thought that was interesting.
Interesting.
So
that's funny.
Yeah.
So
there were superstitions.
Yeah.
It happens.
Anybody give you the evil eye?
No.
Did you ever worry about the evil eye?
Nothing like that.
All right. Well, thanks for writing in, Hunter. Why don't we do the voicemail?
Hey, Frank and Dan. I was calling to talk about the monument at the Dallas Mall. Back when I was working for a church, we went and rented a box truck and put a vinyl wrap on the side of it and parked in a McDonald's across the street from high school, and tried to tell kids. It invited kids to come over for prayer, for free prayers, and we ended up handing them Bibles and stuff. But whenever we did it, we anticipated getting pushback from the local community, and in a sense we were doing it to bait them into giving us free publicity, and it worked. And we ended up having so many people donate money to our church that was just starting out, from all over the place, because we got a little bit of local coverage. And that's the same thing that's going on with the mall. I mean, sure, this guy that put the monument on there may be super into his faith, but they're doing it to bait just to get attention for whenever one atheist says one thing on Twitter, and then Jim Baker picks it up and tries to say, because somebody thought the monument was dumb, that they're trying to kill Christians. I mean, that's just how this stuff gets ginned up. So just to, help put that into context of why that happens. I'm also in Texas. I'm from Houston, and this stuff happens all the time here. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, just confirms everything. Confirms all of our suspicions.
I mean, that's the thing. These guys are no dummies. Anytime you put up a big monument like that, it's a good attention grab.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing at the mall got free publicity for that mall.
Yeah. We talked about it.
Yep. And we talked about the publicity that they were getting.
He baited us and we took it.
Yeah, but we didn't.
We didn't.
Yeah.
But the real baiting would be in my mind, is if people showed up to protest it,
right,
or raised a big stink about it,
which is what they were really hoping for.
Yeah, talking about it's one thing, right? Oh, hey, this happened and it's dumb, but it is private property.
Right.
That's an okay thing to say.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeting about it. This is the last time I'm going to this mall. Blah 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 blah. Might be a little bit more of an extreme thing, but
whatever.
I don't know.
I mean, we said we weren't going to go to that mall, but that's in part because it's in Texas and we're not there.
Right. Right.
And actually, if we were in Texas, we'd probably go and see the thing or whatever.
I'd go to that mall. If I need a new cover for my phone,
right?
Go to the mall, or if I, get one of those delicious corn dogs.
You're obsessed. All right, Charlotte wrote into us, and this will segue us into the next segment. She said, "Hey guys, I just wanted to send you guys a quick note to say thank you. I've been listening to you guys for at least 2 years now, and you are hands down my favorite podcast. You guys are a dose of humor and rationale that is badly needed. I realized this morning over coffee that I should finally step up and become a subscriber. Thanks for your good work.
Oh.
You guys have become like good friends over the years." And that was from Charlotte.
Well, that's super nice.
And so Charlotte has become one of our PayPal donors.
Yeah.
And she I guess, translating it across to the donation setup that we have on Patreon, she is a venerable donor now.
That's beautiful. Thanks so much, Charlotte.
So thank you for that.
And we have one new donor on Patreon.
Okay.
Mad Cyclist.
Okay.
Who is now a faithful listener. Thank you for the support.
Thank you for your mad cycling, sir.
And
or madam.
And if you would like to join these fine folks in support of the show, you can do so by going to our website, www.thankgodimatheist.com, and clicking on the support tab. And then follow the links there. It'll help you through the whole thing. There's different levels that you can support at.
Absolutely.
Different ways that we can thank you based on that support.
If you, like Charlotte, have been listening for a few years and realize, oh, fuck, I'm a freeloader, you can go to our website and fix it.
There you go.
And I think we have one more person to thank.
We always do. One Miss Angela, our top donor.
Our Lord and Savior.
She blesses us.
Long
greatly.
may she reign. Amen.
Amen. Dan,
Yeah.
I'd like to read a Bible verse.
Oh, well, I love Bible time. So this is going to be great.
Psalms 127,
Okay.
verse 5. This is from the King James version
Okay.
of the Bible.
The old KJV.
Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. It reads like a fortune cookie, really.
First of all, quiver
I don't
full
really
of
know
them.
what it means. I'm confused.
Them usually in a quiver, them would refer to arrows, but I think
Yes.
we've got ourselves a metaphor on our hands.
We do. They're talking about children and your house, I suppose, would be the other part of the metaphor.
Having chillins.
So the whole idea is to fill that quiver up with lots of kids, as many as the Lord will give you.
Yeah.
And as long as the woman's body, by that,
Right.
will hold up.
Let's note that the psalm you just read talks about happy is the man.
Yeah.
Doesn't mention how happy the lady is.
No.
The woman.
She bears the brunt of this this verse.
Yeah. Although I will say this, most of the women so you and I grew up LDS Mormons, and big families are a big thing in Mormonism, not in the same way that the Quiverfull movement is doing it, but it's seen as a sort of a universal good. The more to have, it's a blessing to have a big family.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing at this point more than anything within Mormonism to have large families.
Yeah, and that's now in Mormonism, as I think probably in the evangelical Quiverfull movement, it would be a bad thing for a woman to claim, "Oh, this isn't my favorite. I may have made a mistake. This may be too many children." Like, she's not allowed to pretend to even hint at the thought that her giant family could be anything but the happiest thing in the universe.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Must be happy. So
a blessing.
It's not like you'll find women who are complaining very often about their large families.
One would assume they're fully complicit in the whole thing. And probably I just love babies.
Oh, well, I mean, babies are great. It's when they turn 3 or 2 that they start to become.
Well, no, so then she's on to the next baby.
On to the next baby. You can ignore the
your
little
10-year-old is taking care of the 2-year-old.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You only have to take care of like 4 toddlers ever. Then it's just the rest there on out is just babies.
Yeah, then it's just screaming from the other room, "Susie, take care of your brother!" Like that.
Yeah. It's just new baby smell, bonding, mommy baby time.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful time.
It is.
She's so blessed.
It's interesting because, we grew up LDS, and LDS has families, sort of have a tradition of big families.
Yeah, neither of us come from big families.
No. Although you had 4?
No,
3.
A brother and a sister.
You had a brother and a sister. That's right. 3.
So 3 felt like a large family. I don't know how you do more than that.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have a good friend who was one of 9.
Unbelievable.
In a Mormon family, which seems like 10 too many to me. And this was not a family
we love our friend. 8 too many.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually love most of their family. I've met most of his siblings, and they're good people. Yeah. I've met all of his siblings, actually.
Really?
I have at this point. But here's the thing: they grew up with not a lot of money,
right?
And so dealing with that many mouths to feed and that many feet to shoe, etc., is crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I suppose
bordering on immoral.
I suppose where you're kind of going would be if one has the means, then who cares what your decisions would be to have a large family, right? Like if you can afford a large home, and you can afford the extracurricular activities that these kids are going to want to do and all the enrichment type activities and to clothe them and to provide for them and feed them, then I guess it's your own business, right?
Well, sort of. I mean, that takes care of one side of the possible problems of having a large family. There are other possible problems. There are, there are questions of can each child get enough of your supervision and comfort and love and all of that sort of thing.
Okay.
And I have questions about that. I don't know. I don't claim to be a child psychologist.
Right.
But there are questions there.
Right.
But man, Mormons, you got your Catholics and you got your evangelical Quiverfull folks who do not ask those questions.
No.
You're not supposed to ask. You're not even. These
are not considerations to make. I mean, it's just like the whole pushing young Mormon kids into starting their family so early.
So early.
Yeah,
I mean, you go down to Provo, Utah.
Yeah.
Much less so in Salt Lake City. But if you go down to Provo, Utah, and you've got, a young couple who's, was pressured into marrying early.
Right.
Because a 24-year-old is an old maid. So, they're married at 20, and then if it's 3 years and they don't have a kid yet, what is going on?
Yeah.
What's the holdup?
Right.
Don't live your life. Selfish.
We're just getting to know each other. What?
We wanted to travel a little bit.
That's so selfish.
So selfish. Yeah. We wanted to be ourselves for a minute. Selfish.
Well, it is selfish.
Or it's just living your life. That's the other possible thing.
It's selfish.
It's self-oriented.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling.
But the alternative to being focused on yourself, that the only way to undo that is to be focused on a bunch of children.
Right.
Is just ludicrous.
Is insane. Also, the thought that being focused on yourself is a bad thing.
Right, exactly.
Is also ludicrous.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Horrifying. Horrible.
So, there's the Mormon angle and whatever, but, recently we didn't want to report on this because we're not drawing a direct line between religion and the shit that went down.
Everything that went down.
In California with this family that had 13 children that were cooped up in their home and chained to the beds and
including adult children.
When
the kids were found,
there was one that was 29.
Yeah.
It was
basically
2 to 29.
Malnourished and unattended to for so long that he or she appeared to be a teenager.
Yeah. There was the 17-year-old was the one that broke out and called the police. And finally, the bravery and the psychology that it must have taken to actually do that is incredible.
Sad.
They said that 17-year-old looked like she might as well have been 10, and was malnourished and withering away. So
it's unbelievably sad.
It is, but we don't draw. You can't draw a direct line between their religious beliefs and that torturous. I mean, that's something.
There might be justifications in their religion. They might have found justifications.
Right. But what they were doing was just fucked up. It's just general fucked upness.
What? I mean, I've been thinking about the whole thing, and just the idea that there were two parents, and they're complicit.
Yeah.
In this whole thing with each other. They both
agreed on this.
Consenting on one level or another to do this.
Yep.
Whether through coercion or abuse or whatever.
Or just they came to it together.
They were just both kooky enough.
Yeah.
To do that.
They went down some roads of thought that they shouldn't have gone down and kept on going.
There seems to be a broader failure of the system.
Oh, there are many failures in this point. But what you and I decided we were going to talk about was the fact that there were 13 children.
Right.
And that this is a trend that is happening in the United States of America of having so goddamned many children.
Yeah.
We got the Duggars.
Yeah.
You got the what are 20 and counting, 1,000 and counting, however many and counting. They always have
Something and counting.
They must have stopped by now.
20 and counted, hopefully.
Yeah. One hopes. Now the grandchildren are pouring in.
I mean, there's a part of me, there is a little bit of a logic to the whole thing, in that with that many kids, you may be tempted just to chain them down to, keep track of all of them.
Just so you don't lose one.
Yeah, because
it's too many. It's too many to account for.
Yeah.
Well, so I did a little looking into this whole Quiverfull movement, which isn't a denomination. This isn't a religious, but it is connected to American evangelical Christianity.
Right.
Yeah, it's based on...
And there are Mormons who do subscribe to this as well.
Indeed, there are. Yeah. There are some that
by name
explicitly do.
Yeah.
And you actually did a whole documentary about a proclamation,
right?
Or what was it?
So back when Utah was fighting for its own marriage definition, law, right? There's a group, they're still around. It's called the Sutherland Institute, and they wrote up this draft proclamation that cities and counties could adopt,
right,
to define marriage, to proclaim the kind of marriages that they support and the kind of family structures that they want to see in their family, right? Or in their community.
The Sutherland Institute is a conservative group, a religious-based conservative group. If one were feeling incredibly generous, one could call it a think tank, I suppose.
It's more of a thunk tank. So they sent it all out, and only one town really nibbled on the thing.
Right.
Kanab, Utah.
Down in southern rural Utah.
Extreme southern Utah.
Yeah.
They're right on the border, across the border from Arizona.
Yep.
They're in the neighborhood of Zion National Park, and
not too far from Grand Canyon.
They're not far from the North Rim at all.
Right.
And so beautiful countryside, but the city government wasn't occupied by the most sophisticated people at the time. And they adopted this little resolution, and it says things like, I should have looked it back up when knowing that you were going to ask me about it. But it actually does talk about that they would like their quivers filled with children.
Right. It mentions like the ideal family. Right. And it talks about
a man and woman tending their garden.
A man going off to work every day and coming home, and the woman taking care of the household needs.
Right.
And taking care of their quiver full of children.
Right. And it was so clear that the members of the city council and the mayor had read it through but barely pondered it.
Right.
Like hadn't really even considered the implications of and exactly what they were trying to promote.
Right. Because
they just saw it as
their
like this,
own families.
We don't like gays, right? We don't want gay marriage here.
Right.
So this is what this is saying, blah, blah, blah.
And it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty great. And then you realize that like their own families don't actually fit into this mold the way that... Yeah, but it is a good ideal. It's a good thing to shoot for.
Right. Yeah, as one of the city council members says.
Yeah.
So I just went down and interviewed everyone on both sides and pieced the whole thing together. And you can find it on YouTube if anybody's interested. Natural Family Values is the name of it.
It's a lovely little piece
that's up there. You don't even have to watch any ads.
Boom, baby.
It's just hanging out.
So go look at that. But here's the thing. This Quiverfull thing, as it's been adopted especially by the evangelical Christians of these United States, is a radical, like, pro-life movement where they believe that they have an obligation, first of all, to fuck like rabbits, and only in a way that will produce that's productive. None of this oral nonsense.
Only productive sex.
Yeah.
The best sex is productive sex.
Well, I mean, so they value. There's also the biblical story of Onan, who was forced to marry his brother's wife that he didn't really want to marry, and he didn't really want to have kids with her. So he pulled out, spilled his seed on the ground,
Right.
and then God punished him horribly for doing that.
Oh my God.
So the idea is, all the seed needs to be going into a vagina, and it needs to be making babies as the Lord wishes. So all family planning is in the Lord's hands.
Right.
Your job is just to fuck
Right.
and see what happens.
Right. I was about to say it's a one-way street, but it's not. It's one way and then it changes direction when the baby comes out.
Yes, indeed. It's true.
Sperm goes in,
Baby comes out.
that's what happens down there.
Yes, indeed.
Sperm goes in, baby comes out.
Gay man's view of a vagina. Yeah, I mean, this is all about trusting God with your family planning. There's no birth control. Because all of these things, birth control or rhythm method or any of that is saying you know better than God how many children you're supposed to have and whether you are able financially, physically, or psychologically to take care of them. God knows. God knows if you can handle 22 children. He'll give them to you if you can handle them.
Well, life finds a way, Dan.
It really does.
Welfare finds a way.
Oh my God. And that's the thing.
Ship finds a way.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Maybe not.
We have a new tax plan in place. We've got a government that doesn't want freeloaders.
Yeah.
I wonder how the Quiverfull people will feel
When their help gets taken away.
when all of the government
Are they still getting
subsidies.
Are they still getting a deduction per baby?
Yeah, I think so.
That doesn't have a cap. That has to have a cap.
No.
Because that's criminal.
Because this is how this works. Like, the Republican side is supporting the Christian side.
Right.
So the Republican side, while they would never support, all these welfare queens,
right.
which is code for black,
Right.
people who are just sucking on the tit of the good hardworking
Right.
Americans. But if you happen to have 13 children,
Right.
and you've got a good job, but it's just not enough to take care of them all. Well, we understand that. We'll help you out with
Right.
that.
Tax deductions.
Yeah,
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
It is absolute fucking bullshit. I like. It's a subsidy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. And here's the thing. This is heavily patriarchal. So in almost all of these Quiverfull families, there's a man who's in charge and a baby-making machine that has boobs that might be considered a human sometimes. And then there's all of these little people running around.
How do I get in on some of these deductions? Like,
You can't. You don't get them. They're not for you.
but I'm doing more than these people are doing.
What are you doing? You're not populating the earth. That's the great mandate.
That should be capped at 3. I'm fine with a child deduction. That's fine, right? But cap it at 3. So you get the 2 to replace you,
yeah.
right? And one
like
just in case something goes bad.
A swing.
Right.
Sure.
You're spare.
Okay.
Right. You got the 2 for population. 1 is a spare because, let's face it, the occasional kid dies.
Yeah, sure.
So,
And you need to, you may need to make up for 1 or 2.
And there's people who don't have kids. So maybe up to 4. Because we do need population replacement, don't we?
I don't know that we do, but everybody seems to think so.
Well, economies and such.
Yeah, that's just if you believe that a growth model is the only model that can possibly work.
Some fucking socialist.
Anyway, I don't feel like we need to grow. I feel like we're okay. Anyway, I think you need to write a sternly worded letter to your
That'd be a beautiful letter to write.
Your senator. Yeah. Write it into Orrin right now.
Or Mike Lee. They're both my senator.
There you go. And they'll be very, very eager to hear from you. They'll definitely take what you say under consideration.
You know what? It's going to be well crafted. This letter.
I mean, it's a text.
It's an argument that is hard to argue with.
Yeah. Well, until you realize that they're Mormons and they love lots of kids.
I've recently found, dear sirs, I have recently discovered that there is a child tax deduction.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't know. You know, the other time that I encountered lots of big families, especially big families in poverty situations, was in the third world, where parents had lots of children to help around the house and because they knew that when they got old, they would need taken care of. And most of their kids probably wouldn't do well, but if they pooled their resources, they would be able to take care of them.
Large families make sense in developing nations, in some cases,
right?
And on farms.
Yeah, it can make sense in that respect.
Those are the two settings where I get it. There's some sense to it, right? You can see the argument in what's going on in people's minds, right? Because kids do represent free labor. For an old school farm. Right. A large modern industrial farm. No, there's no place for a large family.
No, there's no place for children on a large farm.
Exactly.
Now. I mean, they go milk a cow, I guess, but I mean, but all the farms are so industrialized at this point, one man can till all of the land in a day.
It's not really until those kids were, older teenagers that you would get anything from it. It's a little bit of a long-term investment there.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense anymore at all in a first world country.
Right.
In a modern industrialized country, having that many children doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. If you have a large family, we're shaming you. I guess that's what we're doing.
Although, have lots of atheist babies.
Yeah, well, that's the other argument, right? I do hear that. Andrea and I are childless by choice. And you do
really
hear,
unfortunate.
We hear a lot of people saying, "But you guys are the good ones. We need you guys to be making and raising children to compete with all these bad thinking Christians." I don't buy it.
I mean, what?
I don't have a responsibility.
Your poor mother.
She's
that's what So
she would love to be a grandmother.
Your sister is a
lesbian.
Is a lesbian in a relationship.
So she's
long-term related. But they've chosen not to, adopt or anything like that.
Right.
And you're the hope. Right. You're the reproducer.
Nope.
Right? And then you choose not to.
I know. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I know, Mom, that you'd love to have grandkids. There's nothing that makes that woman happier than a baby.
Imagine what you could do for your mother, Dan.
She's 3,000 miles away, so she wouldn't even
not for long. Let me tell you,
she would not see that kid very often, but she would be delighted.
Let me tell you, you make that phone call, Maura would not be 3,000 miles away much longer.
Well, yeah, she would definitely come out, but it's not going to happen.
Sorry, Maura, I tried.
We choose childlessness, which, by the way, in case you're wondering, listener, is delightful. It's a fantastic option. Yeah. I don't say that everybody needs to choose it, but if you're considering it, I say there's a lot of upside to not having kids.
All right.
Well, I don't think we helped anybody with that conversation.
Not at all. I don't even know what the point of the damn thing was.
But we're fascinated by it. Hey, if you guys can figure out what the hell we were talking about, please write into us. Or if you have something to add to that conversation, it is
Good luck picking something.
No, it's a super interesting
picking something that we just talked about to add to.
It's a super interesting series of topics that we just sort of bounced around inside of, like a pinball. If you want to bounce around too, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424 666-8442.
It is. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're there, why not search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and join the conversation that's going on all the time. It's moderated, it's safe, it's private,
Yeah.
it's secure.
And fun. Hey, we thanks again to our patrons. If you want to join their ranks and become one of the good people that helps keep this show going, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support button.
And a big thanks goes out to the musicians who donate their music to us, the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Yeah, thanks again to Mackenzie for her hard work on the Facebook page, and to Danny, and to Sarah, Amy, and Danny for their hard work as moderators on the Members Only Lounge.
All right. Well, thank you, our dear listeners. You keep coming back.
Yep, we sure do appreciate it when you do.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.